To get a good price for the 500 free-range pigs in our village, I mortgaged my house. I poured millions into getting refrigerated transport trucks ready. That day, the whole village blocked my trucks with their hose. You're selling them for 88 per caddy in the city, but only paying us 30 per caddy. You're pocketing 58 from our blood and sweat. Don't even think about making your dirty money off us. Today, it has to be 60 per caddy. Otherwise, we'd rather let them rot by the village edge than give them to you. I didn't waste a single word. I tore up the contract right there on the spot. I turned around and headed to the neighboring village, the one so poor it couldn't even afford a pot to cook in. Half a year later, I was rolling in profits. Every household in that poor village had built themselves a nice little villa. Meanwhile, the 500 pigs back in my hometown all rotted in their pens. The village chief led the whole town to kneel at the gate of my facility, crying and begging me to buy their pigs for $5 a caddy. I looked down at them from above. Sorry. My high-end cold chain doesn't take garbage. Give us our money back. Even if we slaughter these pigs today to feed the dogs, we will never sell them to you. To help the village sell their 500 purebred, free-range pigs for a good price, I ran myself ragged. I mortgaged my apartment in the city and pulled every string I had. I finally managed to break into the provincial capital and secure distribution channels with 3 high-end supermarket chains. The purchase price I offered the villagers was $30 a caddy. You have to understand, the current market price for regular pigs is only about 15 or 16 bucks. But what I got in return was pure public outrage. Stealing the hard-earned money of your own kin. Did a dog eat your conscience or something? The one leading the mob was Wang Dafa, the village butcher. He spat a glob of phlegm on the ground and took a crumpled-up printout, slamming it hard against my chest. Everyone, look at this. This is a photo taken by my nephew, who's in college in the city. He took our free-range mountain pigs and just rebranded them. Guess how much they're selling for at those high-end city supermarkets? 88 bucks a pound. 88? Wang Dafa shouted at the top of his lungs. The villagers' eyes turned bloodshot in an instant. Jealousy and rage exploded throughout the crowd. Wang Linye, you buy them from us for 30. Then you turn around and sell them for 88? You're bleeding us dry of 58 bucks per pound of our hard-earned money. You have absolutely no conscience. A pig weighs 200 pounds. You didn't lift a finger. You're raking in over 10,000 bucks off our backs for every single pig. Even I wouldn't be as heartless as you. What a load of nonsense. Facing all those bloodshot, furious eyes, I couldn't help but find it ridiculous. I even felt a deep sense of sorrow. Wang Dafa, if you're that bad at math, don't embarrass yourself. I took a deep breath, trying to offer one final explanation. 88 is the high-end retail price. Have you even calculated the hidden costs involved? You think sterile slaughtering is free? The 0-degree cold storage processing plant is free? This $2 million refrigerated transport truck is free? And don't forget the astronomical entry fees for the supermarkets, the inventory shrinkage, and the hundreds of thousands I spent to set up the traceability system. Or the marketing costs? If it weren't for my standardized cold chain and packaging, you could drag your pigs to town and they'd pay you 15 bucks a pound, tops. You wouldn't even make back the cost of the feed. Bullshit. We're the ones who raise these pigs. We're the ones who chase them all over the mountains. Why should you get the lion's share just because you put them in some cheap plastic boxes? You think we're just some ignorant country bumpkins? Linya? I'm putting my foot down today. The purchase price has to go up to 60 bucks a pound. If it's 1 cent less, don't even think about driving that truck out of this village today. The villagers of Lingia village chimed in, all speaking at once. They acted as if they were the winners who had finally cracked the code to making a fortune. Looking at their greedy faces, so ignorant yet so self-righteous, the last shred of my connection into this village, that sentimental desire to see my hometown prosper, was completely wiped out. I didn't explode in anger. I just gave a calm nod and said, fine. A flash of wild excitement crossed Wang Dafa's eyes. He really thought he had me figured out. The college kid who just came back from the city. Good. At least you've got some sense, kid. He hurried to grab the papers. But I turned around abruptly, reached into the passenger seat of the cold chain truck, and pulled out a stack of pre-signed contracts for the guaranteed purchase of their hogs. Amidst the stunned gazes of the whole village, I tore the thick stack of contracts in two, and tossed the pieces right into the faces of Wang Dafa and the second elder. Linye, what do you think you're doing? I brushed the paper scraps off my hands my icy gaze sweeping across the crowd. Didn't you all say I was ripping you off and making blood money? Didn't you think that these pigs would sell for 88 bucks a pound in the city? Fine, I'm not buying them. You've been raising those 500 pigs for nearly 10 months now. If you keep them for another 2 weeks without selling, the meat will turn tough and stringy. They'll become worthless, oversized hogs that no one will want. Since you're all so capable, go find your own buyers willing to pay 88 bucks a pound. Good luck getting rich. With that said, without a moment's hesitation, I knocked on the driver's side window. Old Lee, turn around. We're leaving. The 3 heavy-duty refrigerated trucks let out a deafening roar, spewing out a cloud of exhaust, and drove out of Linja village without looking back. Looking back at the now empty village entrance, the villagers looked at each other, suddenly starting to panic. Did he really just leave, Big Boss? What about our 500 pigs? They eat hundreds of dollars worth of cornmeal every single day. What are we supposed to do now? To hell with him. If Lin Ye can sell them for 88, then so can we. We'll just go find Butcher Jang in town. Even if we only get 50 bucks a pound, that's still a massive profit. Lin Ye threw his own fortune away. He'll be crying over this soon enough. Ha ha ha! Once the villagers heard this, they immediately felt like they'd won a great victory. They dispersed with beaming smiles, lost in dreams of striking it rich. Just then, the president of the city's private fresh food supermarket called me up. Little Lin, regarding the big grand opening sale the day after tomorrow, your 500 premium black hogs will arrive at the warehouse on time, right? This is our signature high-end product, so we absolutely cannot afford any slip-ups. I looked at the scenery rushing past the car window, my eyes settling on a dilapidated signpost at a fork in the road. Don't worry, Mr. Zhang. There will be more than enough to go around. And this time, I'm going to get you a top-tier cold chain facility, the most efficient, with the best quality meat, and even better cost savings. A cold sneer tugged at the corner of my mouth. The fortune that Lin Village was too foolish to keep, the neighbors over in the dirt-poor Mountain Gully Village will probably scramble to grab. Mountain Gully Village lived up to its name. It was so poor, all it had were mountains and gullies. It was a provincial-level, officially designated poverty-stricken village. Because the final 3 miles into the village were nothing but mud, even the scrap collectors wouldn't bother making the trip. At that moment, the village party secretary, Zhao Jiangguo, was squatting at the entrance of the village committee office, puffing away on a cheap hand-rolled cigarette. His hair had turned white from all the stress. Standing in front of him was a pig dealer wearing a thick gold chain, kicking at the mud under his feet with a look of pure disgust. Look, Village Chief Zhao, it's not that I'm being heartless, but with this road, every time my truck comes in here, the chassis is going to get scraped to pieces. Those 300 to 400 black hogs in the village, I'll give you 8 bucks a pound at most. Take it or leave it. If that doesn't work for you, then 8 bucks is off the table. Market price for pork is already 15 bucks right now. Our pigs are raised on pine nuts and mountain spring water. These are authentic free-range mountain hogs. Just the cost of the corn feed and the labor to look after them adds up to way more than that price. You might as well be talking to a brick wall. Sure, your pigs are high quality. But what's the point if you can't get them out of here? Give it another month or so. The pigs will just keep getting fatter and fatter. The meat quality will be ruined, and then I won't even pay you 5 bucks for them. You might as well just keep them to eat for the holidays yourselves. Watching the pig trader turn around and start to leave, the dozens of villagers behind Zhao Jiangguo all wore expressions of pure despair. The village is poor, and all the young people have gone off to the city to work. The old, the sick, and the weak left behind. We're all counting on these pigs to make some money by the end of the year. To pay for the kids' school tuition, and to buy a few new cotton jackets for the winter. Was all their hard work for the past half year really going to go down the drain just like that? Just as Zhao Jiangguo gritted his teeth, preparing to swallow his pride and give in, 3 massive heavy-duty cold chain logistics trucks, like steel beasts, rumbled over the muddy dirt road and pulled up steadily in the clearing in front of the village committee office. A man hopped out of the truck, glanced briefly at the flabbergasted pig trader, walked straight past him, and went right up to Zhao Jiangguo. You must be Village Chief Zhao, right? Let me introduce myself. I'm Lin Ye from Gaoduan Fresh Food Cold Chain Logistics. Zhao Jiangguo, feeling a bit awkward, wiped his hands on his pant legs. He couldn't believe a big boss like this would actually come to their impoverished backwater village. Mr. Lin, did you bring these big trucks here to buy our pigs? I didn't waste any time and got straight to the point. I've already taken a look at those black-haired pigs from your village. The foundation is pretty solid. So, this guy here offered $8, right? Well, I'm not paying 8. You hear that, old Zhao? Even this big-shot buyer doesn't think they're worth $8. Your pathetic pigs are just gonna rot away. I'm offering 25. My calm voice hit the crowd like a bolt of lightning. It struck everyone in Big Mountain Valley Village like a thunderclap. The whole place went deathly silent. Even that pig trader with the gold chain looked like a duck whose neck had just been throttled. His eyes were popping out of his head. Are you out of your mind? Even the top-tier slaughterhouses in the city would top out at $18, at most. I don't need you to tell me how to do my job. The pig trader was completely rattled by my presence, and he scurried off with his bag tucked under his arm. Zhao Jiangguo's hand, holding his pipe, started shaking violently. His eyes instantly turned red. His voice was trembling as he said, "Boss Lin, you're not just pulling our leg, are you? $25 for live pigs." I pulled out a brand new contract, but before handing it to Zhao Jiangguo, I held it down. It's not just this batch at 25. From now on, all the pigs you raise, as long as they meet my standards, I'll buy them all at that base price. But, Village Chief Zhao, I have to be blunt. This $25 isn't charity. My pork is destined for the most high-end Michelin-starred restaurants in the city and the finest boutique supermarkets. So, starting today, you have to follow my rules for raising these pigs. First, I don't accept pigs raised in cramped pens. These pigs have to run on the mountain for at least 3 hours every day. If they don't get enough exercise, I don't want them. Second, you must use the scientific fermentation formula I provide for feed. You are absolutely forbidden from feeding them any water weight fillers or hormones. If I catch you doing it once, your whole family is blacklisted. Third, I'm going to build a temporary facility on your village's empty land. A 0-degree acid depletion chamber and cold storage. All slaughtering must be carried out in a sterile environment. Every single piece of meat needs a scannable QR code attached. My rules are extremely strict, and they're a huge hassle to deal with. If anyone thinks I'm charging too much at the retail end, or wants to haggle over prices or threaten to cut off supply, speak up right now. I'll walk away immediately. The lesson I learned the hard way back in Neighbor Village, I'm never going to repeat here in Big Mountain Gulch. Faced with my supposedly harsh demands, Zhao Jiangguo didn't hesitate for a single second. Instead, he was so moved that tears streamed down his face. They've been poor for so long as they can earn honest money, and as long as it means the villagers can put food on the table, never mind the extra work, he'd even trade 10 years of his life for this opportunity in a heartbeat. Zhao Jiangguo turned around abruptly, facing the villagers. "Listen up, men of Big Mountain Gulch. Did you hear Mr. Lin? He's offering us $25 to keep us alive. Our ancestors must be smiling down on us, for us to finally have a living saint come our way. If anyone dares to be greedy for a drop of water, if anyone dares to pull any shady tricks behind our backs, and ruins Mr. Lin's business, I, Zhao Jiangguo, will be the first to cast them out of our clan registry. The whole village, all of you, do you hear me?" Dozens of villagers, whether they were gray-haired elders or hard-working women, all shouted back with red eyes, their voices shaking the sky. There was no greed in their eyes, only an intense longing to escape poverty and endless gratitude toward me. Watching this scene, the corners of my mouth finally curled into a faint smile. Truly, this is what I value most. I handed the contract to Zhao Jiangguo. "All right, old Li. Unload the first batch of testing equipment and fermented feed. Tell the construction crew to start building the acid removal cold storage this afternoon. Village Chief Zhao, get a few quick-handed young men, put on the sterility gear, and let's start buying the first batch of pigs today." The entire Dashanggu village was buzzing with excitement in an instant. This poor dead-end mountain village, silent for decades, felt like it had just been injected with a massive shot of adrenaline. Everyone was suddenly filled with an unprecedented level of drive and ambition. Meanwhile, just 5 kilometers away in Linjia village, the ringleader of the trouble, Wang Dafa, was leaning back in a rocking chair at the village entrance, legs crossed, snacking on sunflower seeds. "Uncle Dafa, that brat Lin Ye really hasn't come crawling back to beg us yet? Our 500 pigs already ate over $700 worth of feed today alone. Bah, what's the rush? The kid's just trying to act tough. I've already lined up 3 butchers in town. First thing tomorrow morning, we're going to slaughter a few dozen of those pigs and haul them straight to the city. If Lin Ye can sell his for 88, we'll just set up a stall right in front of the supermarket and sell ours for 50. Those city folks will go crazy for it. Once the cash starts rolling in, let's see what face Lin Ye has left to show his face in our village. Wang Dafa's eyes gleamed with pure greed, as if he could already see piles of money flying straight into his pockets. He had no idea that a disaster, big enough to make Linjia village lose their shirts right down to their underwear, was already closing in on them. Outside the Lushan high-end supermarket in the provincial capital, it was a late summer morning, and the temperature was already starting to climb. Wang Dafa, with a stained, yellowing towel draped around his neck, was barking orders at two young men from Linjia village, telling them to unload the meat from a muddy, blood-stained agricultural tricycle. Be careful, watch it. That's money you're tossing around. Uncle, are you sure we can sell it here? This is the fanciest supermarket in the whole city. You don't know anything. That brat Lin Ye is selling his stuff inside for 88 per pound. If we block the entrance and sell ours for 50, those city people aren't stupid. They'll know a bargain when they see one. Those city folks aren't stupid, you know. Why pass up a good deal when you see one? Get your pork right here. Authentic free-range black pork from Linjia village. They sell this stuff for over 80 bucks at the supermarket. Today, we're letting it go for just 50. Come take a look, don't miss out. It was the peak of the morning market. The shoppers at this high-end supermarket were all wealthy socialites arriving in luxury cars or their high-class live-in nannies dressed to the nines. Hearing the shouting, a few people actually wandered over out of curiosity. Wang Dafa was thrilled at the sight. He was just about to slice up some meat to show off his knife skills when, oh, what is that smell? It stinks. Impossible. It can't be rotten. I slaughtered it at 4 this morning. Wang Dafa had been butchering pigs for years and was used to the smell. He had no idea that pork, which hadn't gone through professional cold chain acid removal, would have lactic acid trapped in its muscles. Add in the 90+ degree heat and 3 hours of sitting in the back of an open farm truck. The blood and body heat had stewed together, creating a pungent, nauseating stench. A few greenbottle flies caught the scent and swarmed in. They buzzed and landed right on the tacky, slimy skin. This meat is already turning purple and dark, and it feels all slimy to the touch. How many days has this been sitting out? Forget 50 bucks. Even if you paid me 50, I wouldn't dare take this home to feed my grandson. Who's going to be responsible if he gets a stomach bug? Let's go, move along. That is just disgusting. He doesn't even have a refrigerated display case. Let's just go inside the supermarket and buy it there. The crowd scattered in an instant. Left standing there, a bewildered Wang Dafa muttered, "They don't know quality when they see it. This is genuine free-range pork." Just then, a white enforcement vehicle pulled up to the edge of the square. Who gave you permission to set up a stand here? Show me your animal quarantine, certificate of compliance, and your meat quality inspection report. Let me see them. Wang Dafa froze. I looked over and saw Wang Dafa standing there in a daze. With his neck stiff, he retorted, "What kind of proof do you even need? It's my own pig, raised on my own farm, and I used my own knife to butcher it. What other proof could there possibly be? It's all natural, farm to table. All natural? You didn't have it butchered at a licensed facility. You're privately slaughtering and selling pork that hasn't passed any health inspections. And you have the nerve to set up a stall right here in the middle of the city? Who knows if your pig has African swine fever, or if it's crawling with parasites? According to the food safety law, selling meat that hasn't undergone mandatory inspection, we will confiscate all your illegal earnings and the pork and impose a fine ranging from 10 to 20 times the total value of the goods. Since you've got 6 pigs here, let's call that $10,000. Get ready to pay a $100,000 fine. 100,000. In fines? Wang Dafa and those 2 young guys felt their legs go weak. They collapsed right onto the plastic sheet covered in blood and sludge. Their faces turned ashen, looking absolutely dead inside. Just as Wang Dafa was howling in despair, being dragged toward the enforcement vehicle by the officers, he suddenly whipped his head around. Through the massive, floor-to-ceiling glass window of the Green Mountain Boutique supermarket, he saw a sight that made his eyes bulge with rage. Inside the supermarket, the fresh produce section was absolutely packed, looking like it was about to burst with customers. Hanging above the meat freezers was a massive high-definition screen, playing a beautiful, cinematic loop of black-haired pigs, running through a lush green pine forest, snacking on pine cones that had fallen to the ground. And in the fresh food display cases, piece after piece of perfectly butchered pork was laid out in high-end, sleek black trays. The marbled fat and lean meat even displayed beautiful, intricate patterns, just like top-tier Wagyu beef. A salesperson dressed in a crisp, clean white coat was smiling, presenting the meat to that same wealthy lady who had turned her nose up at Wang Dafa earlier. This is our premium, all-natural, free-range black pork, aged for 72 hours at 0 degrees for the perfect texture. This top-tier snowflake pork just melts in your mouth. Every box has a QR code on it. Just scan it to see everything. You can even see how many steps that pig took up on the mountain every single day. Oh wow, you really can. Just looking at this packaging makes me feel at ease. That marbling is absolutely stunning. In just half an hour, hundreds of boxes of premium black pork were snatched up completely. Shaolin, this is incredible. The quality of these pigs from Dashangu Village is truly top-notch. Plus, with that high-end cold chain and acid removal technology of yours, it's basically an unfair advantage over the competition. The moment we shook hands, I caught a glimpse out the window. Through the glass, I happened to lock eyes with a disheveled and pathetic-looking Wang Dafa. Boss Li Ye, I was wrong. I won't charge 50 anymore. I'll sell them to you for 30. Please, just buy our pigs. Our Linjia Village pigs are still worth something, aren't they? Naturally, I couldn't hear his wailing and howling outside. And even if I could, I wouldn't bother paying him any mind. At 1:30 in the afternoon, on the newly paved asphalt road leading to Dashangu Village, a ridiculous and shabby-looking procession was slowly moving along. Lin Buddha had rented 5 agricultural three-wheelers normally used for hauling manure. They were packed with over 100 villagers from Linjia Village. They were wearing tattered, cotton-padded jackets they'd specifically dug out and holding rusty old gongs in their hands. A wrinkled red banner with yellow lettering. It was clutched tightly in the arms of a few aunties as the three-wheelers bumped and jolted their way into Dashangu Village territory. The eyes of the Linjia Village folks began to widen. That look soon twisted into pure bloodshot envy. Only half a year ago, Dashangu Village was still known throughout the surrounding area as the village of bachelors and the village of beggars, so poor they didn't even have a decent dirt road. But look at things now. A wide, smooth, 2-lane road, paved asphalt stretching all the way to the village entrance. On both sides of the road, the old, dilapidated mud brick houses have all been covered in scaffolding. More than a dozen construction crews are hard at work building 2-story modern villas. Even more eye-catching, at the small plaza by the entrance, several men from Dashangu Village are busy directing delivery trucks from the town's appliance store as they unload their cargo. Take it slow, watch it. That's my new 75-inch flat-screen TV. I just bought it today with the money from selling my pigs. Hey, old Lee, that double-door fridge of yours is taking up quite a bit of space, huh? Ha 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 ha. Oh, we really owe it all to Boss Lin. Come over to my place tonight, we're having Mao Tai. The way those people from Dashangu were beaming with the kind of joy you only see in the newly rich felt like sharp poison needles digging deep into the hearts of everyone from Lin Family Village. Why? How could it be that half a year ago, Lin Ye brought this fortune to our village first? These big TVs, these modern villas, they should have been ours. It's all my fault, that son of a bitch. It's not just Wang Dafa's fault. It's that ruthless Lin Ye's fault too. Lin Boda stared viciously ahead at that massive modern cold storage facility. He knew we were getting scammed, but he didn't even reach out to pull us out of the mud. Today, even if we have to die, we're going to die right at the gates of his facility. Everyone, get ready! Once we reach the entrance, start by banging the gongs, and then wail your hearts out like your lives depend on it. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. At the entrance of Dashangu Village, outside the newly built Lin Family, high-standard cold chain facility, 7 or 8 heavy-duty refrigerated trucks belonging to Lu Yuan Fine Goods were lined up, waiting to be loaded. Workers in crisp, spotless white uniforms moved in and out, a scene of high-end, modern, and bustling productivity. Just as Su Wanchin's motorcade was preparing to leave, and Lin Ye was watching them go from the second-floor corridor, a sound harsh and grating, like a chaotic, screeching funeral dirge, abruptly and jarringly shattered the high-class commercial atmosphere. 5 three-wheeled carts loaded with manure were parked every which way, blocking the electric gates of the cold chain facility. Completely, they had the truck's exit sealed off tight. Over 100 villagers from Lin Family Village swarming in like a horde of zombies, jumped off the carts. With a loud rustle, they unfurled a banner they'd prepared in advance. Immediately, a few old men and women plopped down on the ground, sitting right beneath the factory gate railing. They began slapping their thighs and wailing loudly, "Oh, little ye, your uncles and elders have come to see you. You can't just forget your roots. The whole Lin family village wants to change our registration. You have to stand up for us." This display of shamelessness didn't just stun Su Wanchin and the other big city bosses in the cars. It instantly ignited the fury of the workers from Plaint to Shanggu village who were busy nearby. "What do you think you're doing? You're blocking the factory exit and stopping the trucks. Who do you think you are? Are you blind, you idiots? We're from Lin family village. Lin Ye is one of ours." Tell Lin Ye to come out. Tell him his uncles and elders are here to see him. And by the way, bring out the contract for buying the 500 pigs from our village. The way they threw that contract around, they didn't look like they were asking for a favor. It was more like an emperor coming down from the capital to toss some scraps to the peasants. In their little fantasy script, they were sure Lin Ye would just obediently cough up the cash to make the problem go away. Get lost, you guard dog. Lin Ye's money belongs to all of us in Lin Village. This factory should have a share for our village too. Try and stop us again, and we'll beat you into the ground. Zhao Tieju was so furious that he actually let out a dry, chilling laugh. He flicked his electric baton, sending sparks crackling through the air. Screw your Lin Village. 6 months ago, when you guys drove Boss Lin out, where was all that talk about blood being thicker than water then? Now that you see our Dashangu village is making money, you crawl out here to act like our ancestors? All right, boys, let's toss these pathetic beggars out on their ears. Just as the employees were about to rush forward, the women from Lin Village immediately unleashed their signature move, screaming, rolling on the ground, and making a scene. They flopped onto the dirt, shrieking, "Help! They're beating us! They're murdering their own hometown folks! Quick, grab your phones! Record this! Let's ruin Lin Ye's reputation!" The whole place dissolved into complete chaos, just as Lin Boda was grinning with triumph, thinking his little scheme of emotional blackmail was finally starting to pay off and was getting ready to force Lin Ye to come out and compromise. "So, Village Chief Lin, you brought such a huge crowd just to have me sign a contract?" I stood there leaning my arms against the railing, looking down from above at that crowd of familiar greedy faces. "Little Ye, don't be like that. Your uncle is here on behalf of the whole village to apologize. It was all that jerk Wang Dafa stirring up trouble before. Everyone was just confused and made a mistake." "Exactly, Lin Ye. You grew up in Lin Village drinking the same water we did. You can't just get rich and only care about these outsiders in Dashangu, right? Look, just take our 500 head of pigs and marry my niece. Everything is negotiable. You're giving Dashangu $25, right? We'll settle for $25 too. Your pigs? Honestly, even if you paid me to take them, I wouldn't want them." As soon as those words left his mouth, the smiles on the faces of the villagers from the neighboring village froze instantly. "I wouldn't take your trash even if you paid me to." The smile on Lin Boda's face stiffened completely, as if he'd just been struck hard in public. A stinging, resounding slap to the face. The villagers from Linjia village behind him were also stunned, before erupting into a clamor of pure disbelief. "Lin Ye, don't you dare bite the hand that feeds you. We came all this way, banging gongs and drums, just to invite you back. We're giving you, a mere junior, a graceful way out. Don't go thinking you're some big shot. Without the blessings of our Linjia village ancestors, do you really think you'd be rich today? Lin Ye, honestly, where do you get off acting like royalty? Lin Boda, we're all in the pig farming business here, so stop acting like a big deal in front of me. Those 500 pigs of yours, you think I don't know what kind of disaster you've got on your hands? Do you really think I'm clueless? For the better part of a month now, to save a few bucks, you swapped out the fermented feed for the cheapest, low-grade crushed corn. You don't even let them out to roam on the mountains, keeping them penned up in the sheds, stuffing them until they're about to burst. Right now, those pigs, their average weight has already topped 300 jin. Their fat content is definitely over 40%. Once these words were said, the faces of Lin Boda and the second elder turned deathly pale. The meat is coarse and stringy, so fatty you could practically render it into oil, and there's absolutely no acid leaching process. Your pig pens are nothing but a cesspool of ammonia stench. Even the market wouldn't touch that kind of low-grade pork. My cold chain facility is benchmarked against Michelin-starred restaurants and the highest-end, high-end markets in the provincial capital. You want me to pay 25 yuan per jin to buy your rotten, discarded meat rotting away in your pens? Are you trying to destroy the reputation that I, Lin Ye, worked so hard to build? You want to drag me down to die with you? Lin Ye's angry roar thundered like a lightning strike at the entrance of the cold chain facility. When the villagers of Dashangu heard this, they immediately started cursing at the top of their lungs. Have you no shame? Trying to cheat us with this fatty, rotten pork. Get out of here, Boss Lin. Dashangu doesn't welcome a bunch of bloodsuckers like you. The people from Linjia village were completely rattled. Their ultimate trump card had been ruthlessly torn to shreds by Lin Ye in front of everyone. No, Xiao Ye. That meat is still perfectly good to eat. Lin Boda's arrogant attitude vanished in an instant. His voice began to tremble. I didn't give him a single chance to catch his breath. I turned around to face the villagers of Dashangu and announced some massive news in a clear, booming voice. Fellow folks of Dashangu, because you all strictly followed my standards, our Cloud Mist Black Pigs have made a huge name for themselves in the provincial capital. Demand is far outstripping supply right now. So, I'm announcing that, starting next month, all pigs in Dashangu that meet the criteria will see their base price jump from 25 to 30 bucks a pound. And at the end of the year, the cooperative will take an extra 10% of the profits to distribute as bonuses to everyone. The villagers of Dashangu went absolutely wild. The applause and cheering were enough to bring the house down. Meanwhile, outside the Iron Gate, the 100+ people from Linjia village stood there like they'd been struck by lightning. Their blood ran cold. That price of 30 bucks, that was what Lin Ye had offered them, with both hands when he first returned to the village. If they hadn't listened to those instigators that day, if they hadn't been so blinded by greed, trying to swallow an elephant by blocking my car, the ones cheering and counting their cash here today should have been the people of Linjia village. The massive psychological gap completely shattered the defenses of everyone from Linjia village. I don't know who started it, but the arrogant second uncle suddenly felt his legs give out and he collapsed straight onto the muddy ground. Xiao Ye, Boss Lin, I'm begging you. The dozens of pigs I've got back home cost hundreds of dollars a day just to feed. I've even put my own funeral money into this. The original price was 5 bucks. All these thousands of pens, every single one is ours, for 5 bucks. Take them for 5 bucks a pound. Just get them out of here. If we don't sell them now, the whole village is going to be left eating dirt. Even Lin Boda couldn't keep it together anymore. He finally bent that spine of his that used to be so untouchable. He begged and pleaded. Over 100 people from Linjia village were wailing and crying in one heartbreaking chorus. Gone was that air of authority they had when they showed up just moments ago to teach him a lesson. Watching all these villagers crying their eyes out, there wasn't a single shred of pity in Lin Ye's eyes. I, Lin Ye, I'm a man of my word. Open the gate. Let the cold chain trucks pull out for delivery. The heavy, black iron gates slowly slid open to the sides. The massive refrigerated trucks roared to life, deafeningly loud. They blasted out a powerful gust of air, ruthlessly pushing back the villagers from Linjia village. The dust kicked up by the tires smacked Lin Boda and the rest of those old guys right in the face. They collapsed onto the ground, watching as those trucks loaded with wealth drove off into the distance. Ringing in their ears were the cheers and laughter of the Dashangu villagers celebrating the price hike. Despair washed over them like a tidal wave, drowning them completely. Half a year later, those 500 pigs in Linjia village ended up, because they couldn't afford feed, nearly half of them starved to death. The ones that survived were hauled off by some sketchy, out-of-town pet food factory, bought for a measly 2 bucks a pound as low-grade meat. They didn't even get back 1/10 of their initial investment. The villagers were buried in debt. Men who used to be like brothers turned on each other, getting into brawls just to shift the blame. The village chief, Lin Boda, was dragged out of office by the furious villagers. And Wang Dafa, the one who stirred up all the trouble, even packed up his bedroll in the dead of night and took off. He became a deadbeat on the run, hiding from his debts. He didn't dare step foot back in the village for the rest of his life. Linjia village completely fell apart, turning into a desolate, ruined village where everyone lived in misery and resentment. Meanwhile, on the other side, the provincial annual agricultural economic summit. Camera flashes are going off everywhere. The room is filled with thunderous applause. Lin Ye stands there, looking sharp in his tailored suit. He is standing on the most prestigious podium in the building. His company, Lin's Limit, has just dominated the top tier for 2 rounds straight. Not only have they monopolized 70% of the high-end fresh produce market in the province, especially in the premium black pork sector, but he has also taken the business model from Dashanggu village and successfully rolled it out across 10 other impoverished villages. He's helped tens of thousands of people lift themselves out of poverty. Mr. Lin, we truly appreciate your outstanding contributions to our province's agricultural modernization and your incredible work in poverty alleviation. It's simply the right thing to do. Instead of trying to wake up a bunch of greedy people who are only pretending to be asleep, I'd rather invest that wealth and those opportunities into people who actually know how to be grateful and are willing to walk this path together. That is the true essence of business.